So an easy way to boost your supply without having to do too much extra is going to be using hands-on pumping. Hands-on pumping is good all the time because it helps to completely empty your breasts, which number one, helps maintain and boost supply. So something you can do is utilize your hands while you're pumping. I'm going to show you with a wearable what you can do, like my Momcozy M5 here, and with the Babybuddha here, how I would do it with typical flanges, as you can see. First, I'm going to show you with the typical flange. While you're pumping, you're going to take your fingers like this, put your thumb on your breast on the side here where it sticks out past the flange. Take your fingers and open them up and hold on to your flange like you see I'm doing here. Gently add pressure. Every time the pump pulsates, it goes zzz, zzz, zzz. I'm using my hands to the rhythm of the pump, okay? Something else you could do with a typical flange is just utilize massage, kind of using your fingers like this. If there's any areas where you feel fuller, you can hold gentle pressure, kind of sliding towards the nipple like this. These are great ways when using a typical flange that you can increase the amount of milk coming out, and you will see a difference when you're using pressure and gentle massage. When you have a wearable in, you obviously can't hold on as easily, so something I suggest doing is just cupping your hands over the pump and then just doing compressions similar as with a typical flange, but on the outer sides and on the underneath like this. And you can as well hold pressure down with your hand and then massage. Okay, this next one is something that I personally do no matter what, whether I'm trying to boost my supply, I'm trying to relactate especially, but pretty much whenever I'm pumping. And I didn't discover this till I had my third kid. So I didn't have this for my first two pumping journeys, and I can tell you it's made all the difference with this journey. So hand expression, as we've already talked about, but after you pump. So you don't have to do all these things we're going to talk about today, all these tips like we just talked about, dry pumping and so on. You don't have to try all of them at once. You can try one, then another. It might get confusing if you do them all at once. So keep that in mind when I give you these suggestions. So again, we're going to talk about hand expressing. Let's just say you finished your pump session, regardless of how long it was. Instead of just popping your flanges out and being done, what I do is I actually hand express directly back into the flange. You could just do the flange, or you could take the bottle, whatever you're comfortable with. But as I showed you, I will hand express back into the bottle. I will do that until the milk stops flowing out of my breast and becomes drops. So I will then switch to this side, continue until it's no longer flowing and it simply drops or it stops. At that point, I'm done. This usually, if you have an efficient pump session, this really only takes 2 minutes, and then I'm done. If it's taking you more than 5 minutes on each side, you're probably not pumping long enough in the first. Thing I want to talk about is called power pumping, also known as cluster pumping. And I'm going to put exactly what you're doing right here. You're basically mimicking a cluster feeding baby. When a baby's just born, or when a baby's going through a growth spurt or is extra hungry, that baby's going to feed on and off all day long. They're going to feed, in some cases, a long session of feeding, take a rest, and then a few short feedings, take a rest, a short feeding, take a rest, because they're constantly hungry. And what this tells the body is that this baby's hungry and I'm not making enough. We need to produce more for tomorrow and the next day to keep up with this baby. So you're going to follow this schedule here, and it's going to teach you exactly how to cluster pump, or should I say power pump. This is something you can do 1 to 2 times a day, depending on how well your breast can handle the frequent pumping. For the best results, if you can do this twice a day for 3 to 4 days, after those 4 days, you should start to see a major increase in your supply. If you're not yet, you can just continue doing it for up to a week. But after a few days, if you're doing it maybe once in the morning and once before bed, you should notice a decent increase in your supply. Now, keep in mind, the increase you see isn't going to be in that session at that moment. It's going to be the days to follow.